Welcome to this short presentation delivered by the Herefordshire Regimental Museum. Please take a moment to look at our other presentations and our website. This presentation is about Op Blackout, the last operation of World War II in Europe, the arrest of the German government and the Herefordshire Regiment's part in that operation. It is first necessary to look at the scene in 1945. By April, it was clear that Germany was defeated, but Hitler would not surrender and committed suicide in Berlin on the 30th of April. By the 30th of April, Berlin had been isolated by Russian troops. American and Russian troops had met up and cut Germany in two. British troops had reached the Baltic coast, further isolating German troops in the east. Germany had an obsession with Bolshevism. Hitler had had a deluded idea that the Allies would join with Germany and fight Russia. But there was also real fear of what Russia would do to capture German troops and occupied territories, perhaps based on what Germany had done in 1940 and 1941. Hitler had nominated Admiral Doenitz as his successor, and he had set up his headquarters and government in a naval barracks complex in Flensburg, North Germany, on the Baltic coast. Doenitz was more of a realist and saw a negotiated peace settlement as the way ahead. However, he was buying time to enable troops from the east at threat from Russia to recover west. And also, he was trying to negotiate that German forces in the east would surrender to the Americans. This was totally unacceptable, and on the 5th of May, an unconditional surrender of German forces in North Germany was signed on Nuremberg Heath with Field Marshal Montgomery. The Herefordshire Regiment at the time of the surrender had fought to the Danish border, and they moved to the Flensburg area on the 13th of May. Donitz had set up his government in a naval complex, covering their officer cadet school and other barracks about Flensburg, including the liner Patria, moored alongside the school, and the local Schloss Glücksburg, occupied by Dr. Speer. Donitz sacked hardline Nazis, including Himmler, who it was thought would succeed Hitler. And one source noted that black SS uniforms, previously so prominent, were no longer seen. The sports hall became the government buildings, and Doenitz occupied the commandant's house. The Allies saw this and thought the government could help Germany transition from war to peace. However, this was not to be, as various elements were still overtly Nazi, and the whole complex had become a no-go area for the Allies. Op Blackout was developed under the utmost secrecy. The plan was drawn up for the morning of the 23rd of May. 159 Brigade, under command of Brigadier Jack Churcher, who had been the commanding officer of the Herefords, was a formation designated to carry out the operation. The plan was for a simple cordon and close-in plan. The main objective was that there should be no gunfire. The plan included the removal of the military leaders, Admiral Doenitz and von Friedeburg and General Jodl, and these three were summoned to a meeting on board the Patria at 09:45. H-hour for the op was 1000 hours. The 15th, 19th Hussars put in a cordon, and the Herefords and the 1st Cheshires entered the complex. The operation was a complete success. Almost complete surprise was achieved, and over 5,000 individuals were arrested. The arrest procedures required a full search of all those arrested, and many men complained of the indignity of having to drop their trousers. Meanwhile, the 3 senior officers at the Patria had been arrested, The fourth officer in this picture is Doenitz's military attaché, but they were allowed to return in their own cars to the barracks to collect their belongings. They were all to be escorted by an Allied officer in a jeep, but confusion reigned, and prisoners and escorts in some cases became separated. This confusion enabled Admiral von Friedeburg to commit suicide. Dr. Speer was arrested at Schloss Glucksburg by the 1st Cheshires. Doenitz returned to the Commandant's house and was again arrested by A Company of the Herefordshire Regiment under command of Major Crofts. Doenitz was searched, as was his baggage. His Grand Admiral's baton was confiscated and handed to Brigadier Churchill. One strange fact was that Doenitz was found to be wearing 7 pairs of underpants. This was explained by him having a weak bladder. The key prisoners were then taken to the police station in Flensburg, gathered in the yard and exposed to the press. They were then flown to the Allied internment camp at Bas-Mondorf, Luxembourg. Again, Herefordshire Regimental soldiers provided guards. Donitz, Jodl, and Speer were all tried as war criminals. Jodl was sentenced to death and hung. Doenitz received a sentence of 10 years, and Speer 20 years. The Herefordshire Regiment had provided the guard on the Patria on the day, and you can see here clearly displayed the cap badge of the Herefordshire Regiment on the soldier to the left. And one enterprising soldier removed the car pennants from the Admiral's car, and they are now displayed in the Regimental Museum. I hope you've enjoyed this presentation. Please take a moment to look at the links on this slide.